Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to jump right into it, and we're going to start with last night's City Council budget hearing for the fiscal 2023 budget. So it was an interesting night to say the least. Many big discussions on big issues. I can't get in depth time-wise on all of them, but a lot of pay raises, a lot of big 7.5% pay raises handed out. And here's the thing with that. I just, because pay was a discussion of the evening. And here's how I feel about it. I'm just going to sum it up this way on the whole pay issue. I feel like we are administrative top heavy in the city. Just all these administrative positions that have these high paying jobs. And it's like everyone's some sort of administrator or department head, or everyone has a title, and they're all making big money. And then you have the workforce of the city. The police officers, our patrol officers and police officers, underpaid. School teachers, underpaid. Paraprofessionals in the school, underpaid. Grossly underpaid, some of those departments. The cafeteria workers, below minimum wage. Below Massachusetts state minimum wage. Parks Department, Highway Department needs more people. They need better staff. So it's how we're allocating the funds. I totally agree that we're underfunded on many things, and we're overfunding all these. We just keep creating all these administrative positions. I don't know. I mean, you're looking at what's happening in the economy, and the writing is on the wall. What's coming? I don't want to say that certain people that came to my page and said certain things and laughed. I won't call them out by name, but it's troublesome what you're seeing in the economy. And on my personal page, I did say, top economists. When you listen to people. I have certain people in the economy that I have followed. Two, I've followed my whole life, or since I've been involved in this stuff or interested in it, and that's Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. And then there's other people I'm big fans of, like Jamie Dimon, sometimes Jim Cramer. But I do my research. I don't claim to be a know-it-all. Just like everybody, though, it's a technology information world, and you can get all the information you want on just about anything if you're willing to put in the research. And I can't believe the way the city of Pittsfield spends money, and then where they don't spend the money. It's like, But anyway, that's coming. That part, it's going to pass, I'm sure. There's another meeting coming up. But this was last night. It got very interesting, and I won't get in depth on this. Charles Cronick, our Ward 2 city councilor, made it very interesting. At times, I saw Councilor Lampiazzi, who sits next to Councilor Cronick, look like she was going to jump out of her chair and I don't know what, run around the room and scream for a minute out of frustration. I think the way, and for those of you, I'll just sum it up this way. It ended very hostile between our Ward 2 City Councilor, Charles Cronick, and the City Council President, Peter Marchetti. And if you go back and watch, Charles Cronick did do some things that, he's a brand new City Councilor. I know his intent, I feel like I'm a good judge of character. I think his intent is there. He seems like the kind of person he really wants to help, and he feels and believes he was elected on a platform to save his constituents money. And this is an opportunity, but his political and council etiquette needs to be refined. Rather than our city council president blowing up on him at the end, which he did, he kind of humiliated him. And I say that because I don't think Councilor Cronick understood even what he was doing at times. So, in my opinion. So, if I had been Peter Marchetti or the city council president, I would have waited till after the meeting, pulled him aside, said, hey, let's go grab a beer or coffee. I'd like to talk to you if you're up for that. And talk. Be what a politician is supposed to be. A good politician is someone who can network, can wheel and deal, can get things done, can communicate. It can't be that cut off my way or the highway. It can't. You can't. And Peter Marchetti, as the city council president, I would have liked to have seen him do a little better. I think Charles Cronick is a good person who is open-minded. I think he's one of those people. He is very analytical on what he sees, knows, touches, and feels. Some of the stuff he said made me go, like, I would disagree with him on some of the things he said. But I think he's a good guy and with good intent, and he's there for the right reason. And I think the city council president should have handled that differently. Kenny Warren brought up an issue that was rejected, and this was an interesting one that other communities have also done, including Boston, and that is he asked for funding to be set aside so the city council could retain legal counsel for advice on specifically use of the ARPA funds, because that's $41 million, which Councilor Warren said a federal audit is most definitely coming. The feds have been very clear about that down the road they are going to do a federal audit on this, and there are potential things that could look like conflicts. And one of the things that he brought up was the mayor's closed meeting group, and she put together a closed meeting group of members that she selected that would help her decide how the ARPA funds were going to be used. And 4 of the members of that closed meeting group also received ARPA funds. So, and there's many scenarios where there's people very close and connected to the mayor that received monies. And anyway, I think I agreed with Councilor Warren 100% on this. He is an attorney. He knows what he's talking about on this one, but they were not going to listen to him. They kept saying, we can't spend money on that. And he was saying, we're not spending anything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we should set aside a certain amount. I'm open to whatever that amount may be. He initially said $50,000, but he was just asking to set aside a certain amount that could be used for a retainer if necessary, for legal advice. So the council knew, so they could be legally informed on this. And if it's not used, then it would just go back. But without that, if there's misuse and the federal government says you got to pay back, like Councilor Warren said, the city could be on the hook for millions. And none of these politicians, most likely, at least in the mayor's administration, most likely will be there. So that was an interesting conversation. I'm going to ask Councilor Warren if he wants to come on and talk about that. I'm also going to invite Councilor Cronick on, and Councilor Marchetti if he's interested. I would like to get into that discussion a little bit too. I think there could be some healthy talk there. Some of the big issues that were discussed, that will be continue to be discussed, is how to add mental health clinicians to the city and where that should be. Should it be in the police department? Should it be through a separate organization? Chief Wynn made it very clear that he prefer it not being under him. And I agree with that. We need to come up with something else, but at the end of the day, when all that was being discussed and there was a lot of big talk, the facts are what Chief Wynn said. Try finding some of these clinicians. It's not even just a matter of pay. People who train for this type of mental health work, which there's a massive need for right now nationally, they don't like field work. That's not what they get into. They get into deeper stuff when they get into the social work aspect of it. And it's hard to even find people, regardless of what you're offering to pay. So that was, when he got to that part of it, I mean, at the end of the discussion, that was the key factor of all anybody needed to hear, in my opinion, to start doing more research. This is going to have to be something that's, changing this system is going to be done on a legislative point of view, or legislative perspective. I think we need state reps involved in this, the state involved in this, but let's keep this discussion at the front and let's get this going. step one right away is how do we make the body cameras happen? That's what I say. Step two, how do we do this with mental health clinicians? Because everyone's hurting. I mean, there's a reason they closed down the Keenan House for women. Our community in our city is just, it lacks horribly in mental health services. And it's because of the great numbers we have here of people in crisis also. So that's another one we're going to have to stay on. But I'm going to reach out to Chief Wynn. I still haven't done that. So that's why I haven't had an answer from him, because I haven't reached out to him yet. But I will do that today. And Karen Kalinowski, I'm going to invite her on also to discuss some of this stuff. She's one of our at-large city councilors. So it was a very interesting night, to say the least. And that's that. The roads, Tamarack Road, it's getting a lot of attention. I'm giving it a lot of attention. It is, and Ricardo Morales put out another statement he's our public service commissioner. And he said, it's getting done, it's getting done. We all know it's getting done. We've been told that. We know it's on the list, it's coming soon. It is damaging vehicles every single day, and it's dangerous, and the city still is not doing anything. It's literally, you're playing chicken every time you drive down that road, because people are fighting for the middle, and you get knocked off to the side, and there goes a tie rod, there goes your exhaust, there goes something, which is what happened to me. That road did like $1,000 worth of damage to my vehicle, which has got me sidelined right now. It is horrible. It is horrible, horrible, horrible. It is unacceptable that doesn't have warning signs or something. You can't just leave it like that and say it's getting done. That's like saying to the person who's complaining that, hey man, it's 3 days after the snowstorm and my street still ain't plowed. It's coming. Spring is right around the corner and you're not going to have any snow there. So what are you worried about? It's coming. It'll be done. That's going to melt away. I mean, you got to take care of it for safety in the moment. Ridiculous. That road is unsafe. So I've got interviews coming up with quite a few people whose vehicles were damaged on there and want to discuss that. So I'm going to be talking about that too, and why people are so upset specifically with that road. And to the people who live on that road, my God, how unfair is that? Reduce their taxes or something. That's so unfair. It's disgusting. And that's a major throughway for Pittsfield. And not even a warning sign for somebody on a motorcycle who could get killed on that road. And that's no joke. It's not potholes. There's sections of road that it's gone. It's gone. So anyway, that's it on that. Ton of stuff coming up. Nice weather coming up. Hot weather coming up. Another meeting coming up. So I'll be doing another video tomorrow. So everyone stay safe. Pay attention, get involved, go watch that budget hearing meeting if you can. You can check it out on Pittsfield Community Television's website. They have a link on there. And yeah, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.